everyone, Brandon's back with another Toker Talk. Today we're going to be talking about the duality of the Olympics. It's 4 o'clock here at the Cobra High home, so let's just jump right into it. Today's duality will be structured somewhat differently. We're going to be starting off with a wonder as usual and then alternate into a terror successively. All links used as supporting evidence in the description below. Prosperity. Hosting the Olympic Games can be an incredible boost for a country's wealth and happiness. The 1984 Summer Olympics in Los Angeles gave the city a $215 million operating surplus thanks to their pragmatic use of the already existing Coliseum built by the city to host the 1932 Games, as well as $284 million in broadcasting fees. England welcomed more than one visitor every second in June 2013 after the 2012 London Summer Olympics. Those tourists also spent $2.57 billion in June and $12.1 billion in the first half of 2013. The 2016 Rio de Janeiro Summer Games had a global audience of 5 billion, with the games broadcast in 200 countries. More than 56% of foreign visitors to Brazil for the 2016 Games were new visitors, and Brazil set tourism records with 6.6 million foreign tourists and $6.2 billion. The 2018 Winter Games in Pyeongchang reported a 55 million surplus that was used for the benefit of sports in South Korea. Lee Ji-sol, who lives in Pyeongchang, said that residents celebrated their selection as the 2000 Winter 8 Games host, with the entire city going out dancing. Murad Chaudhry, MBA, PhD, former treasurer of the corporate banking division of the Royal Bank of Scotland, stated, "A genuine feel-good factor can be very positive for the economy, not just in terms of higher spending, but also in productivity at work, which in turn boosts output." Hosting the Olympics also leads to addressing some of a city's critical needs, especially in terms of infrastructure. Streets and bridges are refurbished, mass transit lines and public buildings are constructed anew. Projects that get talked about but never acted upon for decades are prioritized and expedited. But all that city planning and construction doesn't just happen for free, and it can quickly lead your city into debt. Just bidding for the chance to host the Olympic Games costs millions of dollars. National applicants make their bid to the International Olympic Committee for an entry fee of $150,000. 3 to 5 cities are chosen as finalists with the opportunity to shell out $500,000 and put together more extravagant, expensive proposals. And even if your proposal is accepted, you then have to deal with the fact that no Olympic Games since 1960 have come in under budget. Hosting the Olympics is an enormous, expensive undertaking. Unlike other mega projects, Olympic facilities have an absolute date that they must be constructed by. As a result, finishing construction often involved extra crews working around the clock, which means costs running over. According to a study by researchers at the University of Oxford, the Lake Placid, New York 1932 Olympic Winter Games ran over by 320%. The Albertville, France 1992 Olympic Winter Games ran over 135%. And the cost of the 2004 Athens Olympic Games ran over by 60%, actually worsening Greece's 2007 to 2012 financial crisis. The delayed Tokyo 2020 Summer Games is the most expensive Olympics in history, with an estimated total cost of at least $25 billion. A study done in January of 2021 found that losing foreign spectators due to COVID-19 restrictions could also cost Japan as much as $23 billion in revenue. And if you think these cities are an exception, consider the fact the average cost for host cities from 1968 to 2010 was 252% over budget for the Summer Olympics and 135% for the winter, with the 1976 Montreal Summer Games running over the most by 796%. Putting together a globally observed event isn't cheap after all, but it'll all be worth it for recognition. Being a host for the Global Olympics puts you onto the global stage, which comes with many perks. Host countries tend to be invited to prestigious global economic organizations. According to economics professors Robert A. Bahad, PhD, and Victor A. Mathens, PhD, the very act of bidding serves as a credible signal that a country is committing itself to trade liberalization that will permanently increase trade flows. After a successful 1955 bid for the 1960 Summer Olympics in Rome, Italy joined the United Nations and began the Messina negotiations that led to the creation of the European Economic Committee, or the EEC. The 1964 Tokyo Summer Games led to Japan's entry into the International Monetary Fund, or the IMF, and the OECD, otherwise known as the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. The 1968 Summer Olympics allowed Mexico to make the leap into the ranks of industrialized nations, according to Dr. Goldblatt, sociologist and sports writer. The 1984 Summer Olympics in Los Angeles brought a record 43.2 million tourists to Los Angeles County that year, an increase of 9.3% over 1983. Spain joined the EEC within a year of the 1986 Barcelona Summer Olympics. Korea's political liberalization coincided with winning the bid for the 1988 Seoul Summer Games. The 1992 Barcelona Summer Olympics helped to revitalize the city into the third best city in Europe, according to Travel Plus Leisure magazine. China negotiated with the World Trade Organization, opening trade for the country after being awarded the Beijing 2008 Summer Games. But before your city and country get too caught up basking in the limelight, don't forget, great opportunities always come with a heavy burden. Robert A. Bahad, Ph.D., and Victor A. Mathens, Ph.D., economic professors, stated, host cities are often left with specialized sports infrastructure that has little use beyond the games, and that the cities must maintain at great expense. Montreal's 1976 cost overrun took 30 years to pay off, and the people of Quebec still pay $17 million a year maintaining Olympic Stadium, which is still without a functioning roof over 40 years later and also needs $300 million worth of repairs, thus giving its nickname the Big O, originally intended to be a reference to its donut-like shape, a rather negative connotation. Venues constructed for the Athens 2004 Games famously remain unused and have fallen into disrepair. Sofia Sakharov, a Greece MP and former Olympian, had to say this of the 2004 Athens Games venues. We are left with installations that are rotting away because we don't even have the money to maintain them. A lot of entrepreneurs and property developers got rich very quickly. Brian C. Cleft, Ph.D., and Andrew Manley, Ph.D., lecturers with badass names at the University of Bath, stated, to make way for Beijing's 2008 Olympic infrastructure, an estimated 1.5 million people were forcibly evicted from their homes with minimal compensation. The neighborhoods were destroyed and the residents were moved to the outskirts of the city, far from friends, family, and places of work. Beijing's 2008 Bird's Nest Olympic Stadium now costs the city $11 million a year to maintain. And while it does serve to host soccer games, its schedule is open enough that, for a fee, one can ride a Segway around it. Residents near Rio de Janeiro 2016 Olympic Stadium, whose homes were set to be demolished, were forcefully removed in what was described as a bloody confrontation between police and residents that reportedly involved the use of rubber bullets and percussion grenades. The $700 million Athletes Village for the 2016 Games was turned into luxury apartments that are now shuttered, and the Olympic Park is basically vacant after failing to attract a buyer. The $78 million Olympic Stadium in Pyeongchang for the 2018 Winter Games was set for demolition before the 2018 Games even began. An expensive and time-consuming undertaking for a building that was also an expensive and time-consuming undertaking. Lee Di-sung, a local restaurant owner, expressed concern about the 2018 Pyeongchang Winter Games. What good will a nicely managed global event really do for residents when we are struggling so much to make ends meet? What will the games even leave? Maybe only dead. Now I know what you're thinking. Brandon, you're missing the point. The Olympic Games aren't about making money. They're about showing the world you've got a country that's full of winners. According to a poll, a majority of people in 18 of 21 countries stated their nation's performance at the Olympics was important to their national pride, including 91% of Kenyans, 86% of Filipinos, and 84% of Turks. Roger Bannister, the first person to ever run a mile in under 4 minutes and a 1952 Helsinki Olympian, said of his country's performance at the 2012 London Summer Games, Team Great Britain's heroic success seems to have reawoken in us our sense of national pride. A realization, perhaps, that, as a people, we have the ability, the drive, and the determination to be great. In the Tokyo 2020 Summer Games, Hidilyn Diaz set an Olympic record, lifting a combined weight of 224 kilograms, to clinch the top spot in the women's 55 kg class in Tokyo, and making her the first athlete from the Philippines to win gold at the Olympic Games. Like many athletes, Diaz was affected by the COVID restrictions when she was stuck in Malaysia with her team for months, unable to leave the country for an Olympic qualifying event in Peru because of COVID-19 outbreak. Forced to improvise, she creatively trained by throwing together a lifting set out of nothing but large jugs of water and bamboo sticks. Philippines presidential spokesperson Harry Roque congratulated Diaz for bringing pride and glory to the island nation in a statement posted to Twitter. The entire Filipino nation is proud of you. So it's easy to get romantic about Olympic events as they invigorate our competitive spirits and fill us with a sense of pride in our communities. But remember, whenever you have a competition, there's always going to be some losers. Merely competing at an Olympic level comes with a great deal of prestige for any athlete, but you can't survive on prestige. which means that as a competitor, you came to win. But unlike Hidilyn Diaz's quintessential underdog story, the overwhelming majority of competitors are beaten by countries that have the resources to give their athletes the best facilities, equipment, and nourishment. The USA boasts over 2,800 medals, more than 1,100 of those gold medals, which gives them over 3 times as many medals as the next highest scoring, the UK. Of the top 10 countries for Olympic medal count, every single one has a nominal GPD of over $1 trillion as of 2019. So while wealthier countries enjoy racking up wins, poorer countries barely get to make their mark. And whether you're from a rich country or not, the Olympic Games for most athletes is a lifelong goal that they've dedicated a significant portion of their passion, finances, and career toward. Meaning losses come with repercussions that are both personal and professional for these athletes. So my question this time for you guys is, do you think fair play really exists in the Olympics? Or do you think there's still things we need to do to get there? I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Alright guys, that'll do it for today's take. If you enjoyed, remember to like, share, comment, subscribe, and follow the eye.